Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Talks with Vice President Kamala Harris and representatives of the arms business are the main points of Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki's visit to the United States. Morawiecki stressed that Poland's relations with the United States have never been as good as they are today and that the United States is a country that guarantees the security of Europe and our part of Europe in particular.
First, I want to approve and expand our arms contract, those that are also the basis of our security in the future. So, I will not only be visiting armaments plants, but I will also be discussing financial issues. Everyone knows that the procurement itself is the thing, let's put it mildly, not the most difficult thing. The most difficult thing is to structure the financing to be able to implement this order in a timely manner. And such discussions will take place in the US financial market, and I will participate in them. But I am also going to strengthen and develop our economic relations. Americans have invested here on the Vistula more than $25 billion, hundreds of thousands of jobs. And I want to create tens of thousands more jobs by expanding our cooperation, by solidifying cooperation in the field of nuclear energy construction, the Polish atom, in cooperation with the best American suppliers. This is our goal. This is Poland's strategic partnership with the United States. A few days ago, further steps were taken with the goal of building powerful armaments depots in Poland, for example, in Powice. But not only there, also in other places. But of course, we will create together with our American allies the appropriate logistics facilities and equipment facilities.
Poprzez ugruntowanie współpracy w dziedzinie budowy energetyki jądrowej.
The battle for Bakhmut is underway. Russian forces have been trying to take the city since August 2022. The heaviest and bloodiest fighting in Russia's war with Ukraine is taking place there. Despite predictions that the command in Kiev may decide to withdraw from the city, Ukrainian troops are continuing to defend Bakhmut.
May 2022. Russian missile attack on a 5-story building in Bakhmut. June 2022. Ukrainian soldiers hold their positions despite coming under constant fire. The situation is difficult. We are killing the enemies who have invaded our land. We must push them away from our borders so that they will never return. June 2022. 3 apartment blocks and several other buildings were damaged in a bombing raid. 3 people were injured. An ambulance was also hit by a missile. Russian forces used Iskander-K cruise missiles, Tornado-S, and Smerch rocket launchers. Putin's bastards. When will he be satisfied? Where am I going to go now? Where will I sleep at night? We don't know if they will continue shooting. People are afraid to sleep at night. August 2022. Ukrainian army soldiers have set up roadblocks in Bakhmut. The city remained one of the last Ukrainian strongholds in eastern Ukraine, and its fall would bring Russia one step closer to taking control of the entire Donbass area. September 2022. Smoke rises over Bakhmut. Explosions are heard in the distance. Authorities in the Donetsk region reported Russian shelling of 11 towns and villages near the front line. October 2022. Ukrainians living on the east bank of the Bakhmut River cross a destroyed bridge to receive humanitarian aid. The bridge had been destroyed weeks earlier as a result of what the Ukrainian military said was a deliberate Russian strike. Where should I go? My daughter was killed. My house was hit by a shell. I'm not going anywhere. I didn't bury her. She still lies there, under the rubble. I can't, sorry. December 2022. Soldiers of the 10th Assault Brigade of the Ukrainian Army say Russian attacks in the Bakhmut region have intensified. Soldiers of the brigade go on multiple missions every day with the BM-21 Grad multi-mission rocket launcher, shelling Russian positions across the front line. This is where the civilians live. Hey, civilians. Yes, come out, please. How are you? We are liberating our land. We can't wait. December 2022. Military experts say the town appears to have little strategic value to either side, but Russian forces have intensified their bombardment and Ukrainian soldiers continue to defend it. I thought it wouldn't be so terrible, and I couldn't imagine that the whole city would be destroyed. December 2022. Russians destroy civilian infrastructure with artillery and mortars. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visits troops near the front. In the city, one can see destroyed apartment blocks, fire and thick grey smoke hovering over residential areas. January 2023. At the beginning of the year, Bakhmut was the centre of the most intense fighting during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The city is being bombarded despite Moscow's announcement of a ceasefire for the Orthodox Christmas period. Good God, our city used to be so beautiful. Roses grew everywhere, flowers. It was clean, everything was so nice. February 2023, President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukraine will fight to keep its eastern fortress, that is, the city of Bakhmut, for as long as possible. No one will surrender Bakhmut. We will fight as long as possible. We consider Bakhmut our fortress. We consider the people who died there as heroes. If the supply of long-range weapons is faster, we will not withdraw from Bakhmut. We will begin the liberation of Donbass. The battle for Bakhmut remains one of the bloodiest in the 13-month war. Russia claims that Bakhmut will open up the possibility of an offensive deep into Ukraine, while Kiev and the West say the destroyed town is only symbolic.
Following a visit to China, French President Emmanuel Macron has caused consternation among Western allies by criticising US policy, demanding strategic autonomy for Europe and claiming that the China-Taiwan conflict is not ours. The French president has strengthened China's position with his visit, according to French media and international policy experts.
French President Emmanuel Macron, on his way back from China, said Europe must resist pressure to become a follower of America. Referring to tensions between China and the United States over the status of Taiwan, he warned that the great risk for Europe is to become entangled in a crisis that is not ours. Europeans alone cannot solve the crisis in Ukraine, so how can they get involved in the Taiwan crisis? The French president's words caused a stir on both sides of the Atlantic. Western leaders have been critical of Macron's statement, deeming it too sympathetic to China, which is conducting military exercises near Taiwan and has long threatened the island's democratic authorities. They are unequivocal in their assessment that Macron's departure was a foreign policy disaster and that the French president is increasingly isolating himself in Europe. A spokesman for the French embassy in the United States explained that Macron's statement was overinterpreted, while the Élysée Palace refuses to comment on the matter.
In the United States, Easter is just one day of festivities. Although Monday was not a holiday, festive celebrations were held in front of the White House. Children used spoons to roll colourful eggs along the presidential garden.
Easter Monday was the day of egg rolling at the White House. The festivities in Washington last from morning until sunset. They were accompanied by live music and educational activities for children. Poles in the U.S. also cultivate American holiday traditions, often in conjunction with Polish ones. We live in America. We have to embody American traditions just as much as Polish ones, especially since here we have combined Polish and American traditions. We bring together Polish and American people in one environment. Also, we need to merge all this, unite it. For those living far from their homeland, national customs become even more important, and keeping them alive bring them closer to their compatriots and bring back childhood memories.
I still remember we would come to the church for Easter egg hunts and all that fun stuff around Easter, and it's just nice to be able to actually help out in doing it, and you know, I feel like it's something that should continue for ever.
The search for Easter eggs is a big attraction for children. In specially designated areas and gardens and parks, children search for hidden Easter eggs. Usually the person who collects the most wins. Sometimes the prize goes to the person who finds the largest or smallest and the golden egg. The tradition of searching for eggs dates back to the 16th century, when Martin Luther organized an egg search for his parish, for his congregation, and the tradition persists mainly in America. There is a great deal of joy for children when they find the eggs. Of course, this involves receiving prizes, and especially if they find the so-called golden egg.
Jest bardzo dużo radości dla dzieci, kiedy znajdą jajka.
Polish Easter customs are being passed on to the younger generation in the U.S. Despite traffic jams and the distance some people have to travel, a lot of people took part in the fun. We prepared for quite a long time. At home, we packed all those eggs, bags, prizes, and it went smoothly. We are very happy with this tradition because the children have a lot of fun. From Los Angeles for TV Republika, Małgorzata Schulz.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.